call to order the Committee of the Whole for Tuesday, January 28th, 2025. Let the record show that all aldermen are present with the exception of Alderman Panis, who's excused. First on our agenda tonight, we have a sewage treatment plant improvements. This was a request that I had submitted on behalf of the council to Superintendent Camp and the mayor, just to help keep track, as well as for the sake of transparency, communication, the variety of improvements that we've worked on as a city, really from the beginning of knowing, being aware of having sewage problems, going back to 2003, and to identify the particular costs with these various improvements and investments, and then certainly from 2017 onwards were the most frequent. Just to give you a synopsis of this and what I would like to, after we have this conversation here tonight, to ask the mayor, I'll be bringing forward a resolution to update this quarterly, to keep a running record, to help the public know and be aware of the continuing improvements that we are making, whether it's to our disconnects from the sanitary into the storm sewer lines, as well as each and every major sewer repair or investment that we continue to do. Part of this was to help just make everyone aware, make it clear that the city is aware of the ongoing issues. We've got some different strategies that we're working on, but I think to make this an open and transparent piece of information would be beneficial to all. So the really synopsis, the summary of this is $32.7 million has been invested in the city of Olean's sewer system. I've also asked for an outline of the bypass events that we monitor and keep a record of. And there's certainly been this almost a bimodal ebb and flow here, where we had a variety, a heavy amount of events in the 2007 to 2013 range, and then a significant decrease. Although due to really looking at the annual precipitation, it's honestly more due to not so much the extended, but I think that just the immediate downpours is overflowing some of our systems. And so I just want to communicate this, and I appreciate the effort put in by Mr. Camp. Do any of the council members have any questions, concerns, thoughts related to this report, and then, or the mayor for that matter, and then work on trying to get this uploaded to the city website so it can continuously be updated and open for all. Alderwoman McCall.
I appreciate the information. I think it's important that we do let people know what we've done, and I think the other thing we've been asked is to kind of project out what the plan is over the next year, 2 year, 5 years, so that we have that plan in place. And I know there's work going on that to be able to put some things in place so that we can give some solid information. So I just want to let everyone know, I know we talked briefly about this the other day though, and I think that as we come up with, kind of the timeline, kind of like when we have, we're talking about what the expectation is over the next year to 5 years in terms of repairs.
One of the really one of the focal drivers behind this is without communication, it seems like we're not doing anything, and I don't think that's necessarily true. From my conversations with the mayor, with Director Camp, we're using the reports that was from 2003 that identifies where our lines are not disconnected. And that a series of those lines are being disconnected using that report. And that's only one side of we know that's only one side of the issue, but I think it would be beneficial for when a line is disconnected from the sanitary and plumbed into the storm sewer, that should be communicated. Again, for the sake of the public and for those who have a vested interest in this, which is all of us. And I think that's a good start. So I would hope that next week I'll be bringing forward a resolution to keep this updated and make this information public on our website. And I think that can help at least in some of this communication. Alderman Robinson.
I was just looking this over, and I see there's an abbreviation on here, CIPP, and I don't see, usually it has the word written somewhere, and then you have the abbreviation. Does anyone know what that is?
Secured in place pipes are.
Secured?
Cured
Cured.
in place.
In place
Pipes.
piping?
Yeah, so it's,
Okay.
it's like a sleeve that is cured in the old pipe. I'm glad you brought that up, because I noticed that myself. I was kind of explaining that.
Thanks.
Any other comments or questions on this information? All right, I want to again thank the mayor, thank Brad for their effort on this. I know it's a lot of information, but the resolution will have a little bit more information going forward. Again, we're not trying to inundate anybody. We know everybody's got a boatload of work to do, but we also want timely information presented. City funds are being used to make these repairs, and certainly the efforts that go in by the crews. I think we should be proud of what we do on a regular basis, and then we can obviously start, as Sonia pointed out, having a strategic plan on addressing some of the larger scale issues, and how to fund those and what approach we can take from that fund. Okay? All right, thank you very much. PL 06-25 by Alderman Crawford to amend the City of Olean Code of Ordinances to include section 24-140.1 to prohibit parking on North 12th Street from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, except holidays, and to amend sections 24-134 and 24-135 to remove prior parking restrictions for North 12th Street. I'll open it up to some of the aldermen to make some statements, comments. Alderman Robinson.
So, guys, excuse me, I've been on the phone all day and yesterday with the storm for work, but I've been on the phone with quite a few people today, at least 4 today, 2 earlier in the week, that were opposed to this PL, and reason being is lack of parking on the 100 block for most of those residents, and then other personal reasons that those individuals gave. I explained the situation, and I'm gonna explain it again. We have an issue where there is a lot of parking on the 200 block of North 12th Street, and with the parking from those individuals, it tends to create a safety issue with school buses and other individuals that come down that road, turning onto and off of Washington Street. It was brought to us, actually, it was brought to us on the council from a constituent to maybe consider no parking throughout all of 12th Street. From there, Alderman Crawford and myself discussed it because it involves our 2 wards, and we decided that maybe we should try to keep everyone in mind and try to limit the parking to a restriction to Monday through Friday to cover those hours where individuals were at work, and that would allow the buses to and from school at the beginning and the end of the day, and therefore we came up with the hours of 7 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, excluding the holidays. In the initial, when this was introduced to the public, there was a lot of positive feedback. A lot of it was outside of those that were actually affected. Now that we're in the 11th hour, Like I said, I've received numerous phone calls, and I wanted to address those with those individuals. And a lot of people always say that government is, they make your decisions, it's all done etched in stone, and I tried to explain today that nothing's etched in stone. There's 7 council members, 6 of us tonight, and we just have to look at the facts and go from there. I am not opposed to moving this to the 200 block in general. My fear is that if we do that to correct one issue, we're gonna create another issue on the 300 block and on the 100 block. And I've explained this to those constituents, but again, I've heard from 0 people on the 300 block. So, I mean, we can try it. We can go for the 200 block and set this restriction, and then from there, see how it goes. If it becomes an issue, I think, more importantly, maybe we should look at commercial businesses in the residential area, because to me, that is a primary cause for all of these issues in the first place. But we do have issues with parking and the bottlenecking when it comes to those hours that are associated with the school and the buses that come down that route. Another concern that was brought to my attention was that if we do remove the parking, there is an innate fear that there's gonna be speeders now that are gonna come down the street. There's been complaints of speeders now, but I think we have that issue across the city. I don't think anyone's immune to that one. But when it comes to 12th Street and the trucks, again, the signs are posted that says local delivery only. So, me personally, I can't control what trucks turn down that way. Again, that turns into enforcement. All we can do is set the standard and hope that people follow them. So, with that, if the council agrees to go to just a 200 block, or if we vote to continue the entire street, or maybe after we hear from some of the constituents that may be here to speak on this particular topic, we can go from there.
So I'll piggyback, obviously Vernon and I have been in discussion on this. I've talked to the mayor about this as well. I have heard from a variety of constituents. Half are very in favor of it. They know the number of vehicles, the bottlenecks. A number of people that don't live in the area are in favor of that. But I've also heard from constituents who live there who are not. And this has been something, I've been here 8 years. Dave made the reference that this is 12th Street's been talked about for a long time. No offense, Dave, not to hear that. But, you know, I think that I don't have a problem with starting off small and trying it to the 200 block. That seems to at least be right now the primary cause of concern. It seems to be the biggest issues around Washington Street and during these peak hours as well. So I think it's a fair compromise to suggest, you know, between the hours of 7 and 5. You know, as far as commercial businesses, listen, if they're operating with proper variances in place, they're entitled to be there. And so, if there's any issues on that, that's the zoning board of appeals. Or is it the planning board? Zoning, right? If there are businesses operating that don't have the proper variances, then that's a different story. So, again, I echo Vernon's concerns with, does this just mean that the issue just spreads to the next block over? Well, we can address that if the problem arises. If it doesn't, then, you know, then hopefully we've solved and corrected that issue. So with that being said, I'm gonna actually, I talked to Tiffany, that's fine. I talked to Tiffany ahead of time. If we want to do any altering, change direction and just try the 200 block for right now, we would have to postpone this indefinitely, resubmit, it'd have to get republished and all of that. So, just so everyone's aware. Alderman Bennett.
I was just gonna say that if you wanna start with 200, I can be good with that. You talked about commercial businesses. I see that somebody may be in attendance here that recently moved a commercial business to 12th Street that would be affected by this, and they did it the proper way. So by having that during their business hours, you could potentially affect that commercial business that just moved there. When your target is, you got one area that's a problem. And I think some of the other problem too is people, for some reason, the city of Olean feel that they need to move completely over to the other curb line to go around on cars, like, you know, kind of bad driving too. But I think that if you can agree to start with the 200 area to see if that fixes the problem with the larger vehicles sit, I can do that, but, you know, there is somebody else that would be affected by that. And you also could talk to me earlier about somebody else in the 100 block, so if you could do that, I think that'd be fine.
Anyone else? All right, seeing no one else, are you comfortable with that, Vernon?
I am comfortable.
Okay, at this time, I'll make a motion to postpone PL 06-25 indefinitely. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Robinson, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And then, Tiffany, can you go ahead and work up for us and get it published, the 200 block? I invite any members of the public that have an opinion on this, by all means, public comment will be coming up here shortly in the regular meeting. Okay. So we got, next up is PL 7-25 by Mayor Elio to create Capital Fund 246, the War Vets Park Pool. Capital Fund 247, Zoning Code updating Capital Fund 248, raise West State Street. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, thank you. This is getting ready for, we have the money that's been awarded to us by the state for a pool, plus the zoning code, and we have confirmation on the, that we were awarded the raise grant, so this is getting ready to prepare to move forward with those processes.
Questions? Okay. Seeing none, I'll make a motion. Can I get a second? Seconded by Alderwoman Forney. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is referred to tonight's regular meeting. PL 8-25, Alderman Robinson, to request the New York State Department of Transportation to fix potholes and initiate a permanent fix to poor roadway conditions between exits 24 and 26 on I-86 in both the eastern and western lanes. Alderman Robinson.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Tiffany, for putting this together for me. We all know, we've all been on the highway, and we've seen that exits 24 through 26 heading down into, or actually 24, I think, is Allegheny in reverse. It looks like a minefield, it looks like Baghdad, and we'd like the state to step up and try to take care of this. Personally, you can go multiple avenues. I mean, we're literally pushing people down the highway because everyone goes over to the fast lane to avoid the potholes. So they're skipping our exit and going down the highway to the next town. So we can eliminate some of that and try to get our roads fixed and save the wear and tear on our vehicles by the state doing their part.
Alderman Anastasia.
I'm just wondering, after this resolution gets passed, as your plan on sending this to the DOT, the Department of Transportation, either at the Buffalo office, regional office, or the Buffalo Settlement office, or otherwise, how are you gonna know about it?
Read the Times Star. Mayor?
Yes, we can send this to the regional office, the office in Buffalo. We're also send it to our representative from the governor's office.
I think he has a personal address.
100 Seneca Street, Buffalo, New York.
See?
Alderwoman McCall.
So I was gonna say too, I think it would be helpful if Allegheny maybe put together something, because honestly, it is unsafe at this point in time. It was only the one lane, now the passing lane is horrendous. The last few days with the snow and ice, it really just is unsafe. And I think that the more individuals that kind of put it forward, and then as we go in the opposite direction, it's beginning to have some breakdown as we move towards Hinsdale. So I think if we can get them on board to also submit something, I think that would be helpful.
All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
Motion.
Okay,
Second.
seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carried, and it's referred to the next regular meeting. PL 11-25 by Mayor Elio to, that the common council authorizes the mayor to enter into an agreement with E&M Engineers and Surveyors, PDC, for professional services in connection with the Bartlett House roof replacement project. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, as you are aware, we received a SAM grant in the amount of $75,000 to repair the roof. Carrie has been doing some work on this. They requested some quotes from 3 different professional services to prepare bid specs and bid documents. 2 of the firms refused to work, and 1 proposal was submitted, and that was E&M Engineering and Surveyors. They submitted a proposal to do the work for $11,250, and they project the cost right now to be, total cost of the project is about $268,000. Construction is $156,000 with $11,250 engineering. We have SAM grant, cash contribution, we have $44,000 in capital fund 234 for the roof, so that leaves us a shortfall of about $48,000.
I'm pretty sure you just said $267,000.
What, I'm sorry, Mayor, can you repeat the, I didn't get all those numbers. Would you share that, could I pass it around?
If I literally said 200, it's only 160. I rounded up to
Okay.
168. Thank you.
That's why I looked at you too. You said $267,000. I thought for a roof.
Worth more than the property.
And keep in mind, historical preservation is involved here too, so we have to maintain a roof that's similar to what is there, so.
So is this my understanding that Twin Tiers Construction of Buffalo put in a bid but then withdrew it?
Yeah,
First. Now, is this awarding the full project, or is this just awarding the engineering side of the project?
just awarding the engineering.
Okay, I'm gonna pass this around. So a question I have is, forgive me for a stupid question. What engineering do you need to, what is exactly needed to be engineered to put on a roof? What are we talking about?
All the angles, if you look at the roof, it's, has to be preserved similar to what's there by the historic preservation. So they would have to engineer all of that, take a look at, make sure that, we don't have to, make sure we don't have to rip off, and put on new material, and different things like that.
Alderwoman McCall?
So I guess I kind of echo John's question there, so I understand that, but I think, you know, and it may well be that when we talk about private homes and stuff, it's a little different, but would that not be rolled into the cost of construction, that somebody would have evaluated whether or not they need to rip off, repair, and know all the angles and everything ahead of time in that,
Interject.
Yep.
The resolution that Carrie and I prepared, it lists specifically that this is for the preparation of the bid package for the project and material specifications, any requirements for steep roofs spelled out, a bid sheet for contractors to complete, scale drawings of the building scope to be included with the bid documents as well as photographs of the existing roof. Other services include attending the pre-bid meeting, answering contractors' questions, preparing the bid addendum, collecting bids after opening for review, and preparation of bid tabulation, checking references to the 2 lowest qualified bidders, making a recommendation, preparing the contract for signing, reviewing pay estimates and
the full resolution is outlined, the scope of this $11,000 in the regular meeting under Resolution 11-25. And I guess the only thing that I would have as far as, another question is, reading most of this, I thought that was stuff that typically our DPW director does, like, in-house. If there's not actual engineering going on, we're talking about doing a bid document and meeting with contractors and things like that. Is that not something that we're capable of doing in-house?
I would think so. We can postpone this and
Talk.
move in that direction.
I don't know if anybody has any other comments or questions.
I'm good with that.
I'm good with that.
We good? Okay. We can follow back up on this, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for looking into that. Okay, so at this time, I would, let's take a look here. All right, so on PL 11-25, anything further? I'll make a motion to postpone. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Benyon. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And on to PL 12-25 by Mayor Dalio, to authorize the Olean Historical and Preservation Society to proceed with carvings in the Teddy Roosevelt and Frank Higgins tree in Lincoln Park to preserve and memorialize said tree. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, we met with National Grid and the company that they will be using to bring down the tree. And in the conversations there, they will cut the board lengths that I think we said we'd like them at 8 feet so that we could use the lumber as some of your suggestions to build benches and things like that. They also said that they could leave the tree standing at 12 or 10 to 12 feet and allow for carving on site. But one of the recommendations was to cut it off at ground length, and then that would stop the decay, and we could take that section and store it or carve it at a different time and get some, they suggested we talk to an actual wood carver for this. But I guess the key thing here is the number one is to get it down before it starts to come down.
So I want to just follow back up. Have we already authorized it to come down? Was that a prior resolution that we passed?
Yes. Yes.
We gave authorization,
It
correct?
was modified, remember?
We modified
took the last sentence
Right.
off, and the agreement was to not do anything until a later date in terms of
Right.
moving forward with the carving. It allowed them to, what was the name of the grant, Bill?
The,
Palmer grant?
Pomeroy.
Okay, Pomeroy, it allowed them to do that and to get the tree down to reduce the danger.
Good.
That's where it stopped.
Okay, so I guess this is just to kind of, because I think we did say we would follow back up, and we kind of, I know that the Historic Society and Steve Teachman, came in, they've got a nice concept. This, I think, just kind of closes out what is the council's wishes. Is it to do an on-site sculpture carving? I know I shared my thoughts last time. My biggest one really is just on really the safety aspect, vandalism, and I think it would have great symbolism to take the wood, whether it's to do something with it, build something with it, or do a carving with the governor's carriage house that they're investing in, something that could be locked up and secured, but open to other thoughts of the council. Alderman Benyon?
I guess I'm just asking Bill, then what's the point of this resolution that says to move forward with the carvings?
Whether we voted up or down, the
I think this was asked to put this back
So
on the
the
agenda.
question is just to cut it down to ground.
Then we
height
vote this out,
and then store it.
right? If we're not in favor of doing the on-site carving, we would just vote this down.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm asking, 'cause it doesn't say that on site, it just says to move forward with the carving.
Right. That's correct. They can, because we already passed a resolution to have it taken down. And so this is just following up whether or not we want to do an on-site carving. And so I would, Alderwoman McCall.
So I get kind of the concern about vandalism and everything. I mean, we do have in the area a number of people who have had their trees carved and preserved, and they look great. So I think that we should find out, you know, what the recommendation is from somebody who actually does the carving as was suggested, and then go from there. I thought, the mayor, did you not say that the recommendation was to go talk to somebody who actually did the wood carvings to see?
No, I don't think so. I think what it's to bring it down, and I guess it was either to leave it in place to carve it or take it off at ground level, and then we could bring somebody in to evaluate if it's worthwhile carving it. I was told by the arborist that was there that if we take it off at ground level, that would stop the decay. If we leave it, the decay can still go in there. And he said that the way it is right now, if it's carved in place, we may get a decade or two out of it. But we take it down and preserve it, stop the decay, then we may get several decades out of it.
Thank you.
So just to be clear, it's just cut it down and they're gonna store it someplace. You're gonna store that last remaining 12 feet, correct?
Yes.
They can do whatever they want.
That's why I said it.
So,
I just kinda thought that was an.
yes, that's why I want to make sure, so,
That you could just
yes.
order it, take it down and store it someplace.
Weren't they waiting for a $12,000 grant or something, or is that what you were talking about? Did they get the grant?
That's what was estimated at the price to have the carvings done. And they were requesting $3,000 from the city, and Steve was gonna try to get $3,000 from the county, and then raise the rest of the money.
Has this been brought up to, brought across Steve and whoever his committee is, that we're gonna cut the tree down and then,
He was there the day that we talked about this.
so he knows, so it's not gonna be,
He was over at the park, but
yeah, so it's not gonna be a surprise to anybody that's from.
No.
Shouldn't be, it was a dying tree.
So, I mean, I guess just for a little clarification, we can either change some of the verbiage in the resolution. I don't have a problem with them doing whatever they would like with the remains of the tree once it is taken down fully.
That's why we wouldn't need the PL. We said you could take the tree down, just cut the tree down to ground height to go store the log somewhere.
Yeah, I guess I don't see why we would need a PL either.
Yeah, we don't need to
So, yeah, all right, so is there any motions then to move forward with PL 12-25? I think we've passed the PL to remove the tree. Whatever the administration wants to do with said tree, you know, donate it to the historical society or whatever, I think that's fine. Does that work? Okay, does that work, Mayor? Okay, very good. All right, so I'm gonna make a motion to postpone PL 12-25 by Mayor Elio indefinitely. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Benyon, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, how about PL 13-25 by Mayor Elio to authorize the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Henningsen, Durham, and Richardson Architecture and Engineering, PC, for professional services related to the levy reaccreditation in the amount of $132,166.28. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, we have been discussing this, and I'll turn it over to Brad if you have any comments on it, Brad, and some other before we move forward.
We've been talking about this for quite a while, since we secure an engineering firm to see where we're at with our levy system, where the shortfalls are. This will be probably a multi-year process. But this just starts so we can give them the information from ourselves, DEC, Army Corps of Engineering, and FEMA to see where our levy system meets that standard, so we can hopefully, mitigate any flood insurance needs for our residents.
Any of those agencies?
Thank you. I was just about to say that.
Any comments or questions?
Yeah,
Alderman Robinson.
thank you. I'm gonna say it louder so the mic can hear me. The FEMA, we all know what's going on in current politics. What if FEMA doesn't exist? Will we be wasting our money with even doing this? It says right here that FEMA has required municipalities within the country. If FEMA doesn't exist, there is no requirement, so therefore, do we need it? I don't know if that's a question for our city attorney, or if that's something where we wait, but then you risk having this sit and.
We did receive a grant for this? No,
I
it's just,
thought we did, we put the money aside.
This was coming out of sewer. It's in the capital project.
it's in a capital project that's coming out of our sewer fund, right? Or we received a grant for this?
I believe it did come out of the sewer funds, yes. It's money that we set aside from the sewer budget years ago that was left over in the fiscal year that we put into a capital project fund.
All right, that's right.
2 or 3 years ago, I think.
Right,
Right,
that's
yeah.
right.
What I can tell you, when FEMA or whatever organization it becomes or is dissolved into whatever, the levy system, when it comes to flood insurance, it either meets a certain standard and they consider it when they make a flood map as they exist, if they meet the standard. If they don't meet the standard, it's like they're not there at all. So that's kind of the impact.
Well, again, I mean, insurance companies are doing whatever they want right now, and California is a perfect example, and I'll just leave it at that.
Alderman Horn?
Yeah, is this what, did we have a deadline that this had to be completed by? If I recall, like a couple of last year.
I don't know of any deadline yet.
Okay.
We did ask it, hey, is there a deadline when we have to meet this standard by? I don't know of a deadline at this point. I know they are updating the maps currently, right now.
Brad, if we asked to postpone this for a couple of weeks so we can reach out to our federal representatives, is that okay? I mean,
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Is there a deadline on the bid from this company?
I don't believe so. I did tell them that, we were having this meeting tonight, and I would be in touch with them afterwards. I can let them know that right now we're exploring, what the regulations
I
are.
think we need to get some clarification. Yeah, I think that's a great point.
I think over the duration of these projects, the requirements are probably gonna change, so we'll get an answer from whatever federal agency or government agency that we reach out to. The answer today is not gonna be the answer a year from now. We're trying to hit a moving target, really.
Yep. Well, so I think it's just for tonight's purpose. Let's go ahead and postpone this. Any comments or questions? Okay. I'll make a motion to postpone 13-25 to get some clarification on whether FEMA is still gonna exist. Can I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Robinson, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carried. I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole. Can I get a second? Second by Alderman Benyon, all in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carried. I call to order the regular meeting of the Common Council for Tuesday, January 28th, 2025. Will the clerk please call the attendance roll?
Alderman Benyon. Alderman Benyon. Here. Alderman Panis, excuse. Alderwoman Forney.
Here.
Alderwoman McCall.
Here.
Alderman Robinson.
Here.
Alderman Anastasia. Here. President Crawford.
Here, please rise to the invocation and pledge allegiance.
Lord, we are meeting today to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness and right thought and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance today.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reading, correcting, and approval of the minutes of the previous regular meeting.
The regular meeting of the Olean Common Council was held on Tuesday, January 14th, 2025 at 6:20 p.m. Present were Alderman Crawford, Benyon, Forney, McCall, Robinson, and Anastasia. Alderman Panis was absent.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous regular meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderwoman Forney. All in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carried. Committee reports and unfinished council business.
None?
Communications from the mayor.
None, thank you.
Miscellaneous communications.
None?
City official reports.
None.
Proposed legislation and referrals.
Do you want me to read anything else and then we'll postpone?
I would just say after PL 06-25 by Alderman Crawford, postpone.
Okay. BL 6-25 by Alderman Crawford was postponed. BL 7-25 by Mayor Alio, referred to Committee of the Whole Tuesday, January 28th, 2025 by Council President. PL number 8-25 by Councilman Robinson, referred to Committee of the Whole Tuesday, January 28th, 2025 by Council President. PL number 9-25 by Mayor Alio, referred to Committee of the Whole, Tuesday, February 11th, 2025 by Council President. PL number 10-25 by Alderman Anastasia, referred to regular meeting Tuesday, January 28th, 2025 for resolution by Council President. PL number 11-25 by Mayor Alio is postponed. PL number 12-25 by Mayor Alio has been postponed. PL number 13-25 by Mayor Alio has been postponed. PL number 14-25 by Alderwoman Forney is referred to Committee of the Whole Tuesday, February 11th, 2025 by Council President.
All right, before I open it up for public comment, I'd like to give an opportunity to any members of the council to make a statement at this time.
Just,
Alderman Benyon.
just for matter of record for the notes, can you please note that 06-25 and 12-25 are postponed indefinitely?
Yep.
Indefinitely. The other two were just postponed.
Alderman Anastasia.
Yes.
Anybody else? All right, seeing none, will the clerk please read the public comment statement?
Public comment portion of the Common Council regular meeting is established to provide members of the community with the opportunity to publicly state their views, voice their concerns, or to provide input pertaining to any issue affecting city government. Additionally, the mayor, common council members, and city department heads encourage any person with questions to contact them at their offices.
All right, at this time, I will invite any members of the public to approach the podium. Please state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Hi, my name's Chris Kranick. I live at 211 North 12th Street. I initiated this no parking on 12th Street. I initiated this for the 200 block only. The reason I initiated this is because of the tree company that happens to be in there, which I have no idea how they ever put a commercial business in a residential neighborhood. Not only do they put their boom truck out in the middle of the street and leave it there all day, they have pickup trucks with trailers, backhoes in the back. They sit out there all day long. It congests all the way from Washington Street to Sullivan Street, especially during the day. Ambulances, I bet you 10 ambulances come up and down that street every day. School buses, 6 times a day, school buses are up and down that street. It gets congested on that street, on the corner of 12th Street, so now they're waiting from Sullivan Street to 12th Street or to Washington Street to come out. Now they're racing up and down the street to see who can get through it faster than the other one. That's the whole thing about 12th Street. It's not the whole street, you know, and I'm sure once the roundabouts start getting in there, I'm sure you're gonna have a bigger problem than that one on 12th Street because it's a truck route actually also that the council needs to look at sooner or later. How that commercial business got in there, I have no idea. There was never any ordinance going around asking permission or anything like that. They shouldn't be there in the first place. We've had problems with them dumping trees in there, burning trees back in there. I've called the alderman a couple of different times. I've seen them come down, take pictures, and address that issue. They still do stuff in there. You know, and now they're at the underneath the viaduct. When you first pull in the city, they dump all them trees right there. That should be covered up. The city shouldn't have to look at that. As soon as you come into our city, all you see is their dumped trees sitting there. Just before the viaduct and Avenue A there, where the empty lot used to be, that should be fenced off. If you're a new business coming in and people come in there, that's the first thing you see is all these dumped trees in there. That's my address on the parking. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Hello, my name is Nicholas James Haddock. I live on North 12th Street, 119. I just wanted to make sure that when this does get in action, if there's anything that will affect my area specifically, I have a shared parking space with my neighbor. I don't exactly have my own parking lot that I can use. So, like, most of the time I have my car parked on the side until she's ready to let me in and go into my own driveway. But I was just wanting to know if this would affect me in any way, and if it does, I just need to know where I could park my car without causing any inconvenience, and if it would affect us at all or not. Just any information would be the most helpful. That's all I need to know.
Which side of the street was that?
It was on the right side, basically the side that is, you're allowed to park on the street side, but like, it's like the last few houses on the side before you reach the stoplights, not too far from the bar.
What you may want to do, you said you're the 100 block?
I believe so. I'm not certain which block is which. I just moved there recently.
You said 119, I missed that. Okay.
It was 119.
Okay, all right, well, so that's your alderman, okay? So you can always talk to him afterwards, but.
I'm sorry.
But the way that I think the council's going is that it would not affect the 100 block this time.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Just to clear this up, okay?
Great, that's wonderful.
Anyone else?
I'm Lori McCarthy, and we are 100 block. We own 5 properties in the 100 block. 130, 132, 134, 138, and 140. We bought them mainly to keep from having slumlords moving in to our section. I know at this point you're saying that it's second block only, but there's a hesitation with that, and I just want to voice our opinions about the first block. I do think the decision on each block should be based on what the residents of that block want, because they are 3 distinct, different neighborhoods. And the main problem involves Decker. And that's what the city really should be trying to address, is getting them to get their vehicles off the street. I don't know that there's necessarily a problem with the business being there, and they would have been grandfathered in, because that building they're in was built as a business. Although originally, I believe it was like a neighborhood grocery or a dairy thing. I almost think it was a dairy thing, yeah. It was a dairy thing. So they were grandfathered in because it was a business. I mean, take one look at the building. It's a building, it's not a house that's been converted. And just for the record, we are the other business on 12th Street in the first block. We have the zoning variance. We did everything we were supposed to do to make it legal. And again, we purchased the house. We put a lot of money into it because it would have ended up in the hands of a slumlord if we had not purchased it. Okay, I'm gonna do this because otherwise I ramble. Okay. I skip over if no parking is allowed, there'll be nothing to slow traffic down. This was mentioned. Speeding is already an issue, and it's going to become worse if they have nothing to slow them down. Especially motorcycles. They are the worst down there. We never see the police except when they're speeding down the street themselves. We have a problem with the trucks and the semis. It is not a truck route. That was established about 40 years ago after the efforts of Kathleen Flint, spent many hours with this body at the time, fighting with them because that's what the head of Public Works tried to say, and it was not a truck route then. That's when the signs were put up to say local delivery only. So it was never a truck route. The semis and the rest of the trucks, they start one at a time, two, and because they're not ticketed, there's no reason for them to stay off the street. So they just keep coming down there. We get some pretty big semis down that street. And again, if you take the parking off of it, that's only gonna get worse because they aren't gonna have any problems coming down that street. If there's nothing to make them slow up and swerve around. Not to mention the fact they certainly aren't good for the street, the damage to the street itself. And we don't need these semis. What we need is to get them off of there now. But it'll only get worse if we take the parking off of it. Let's see. I know several residents of the first block, we don't want the parking rights taken away. And basically my attitude is, if you don't like it, use another street. As far as other people coming down the street. We've put up with a lot on 12th Street. The roundabouts have given us a lot more traffic. They've also given us a lot more emergency traffic. We used to be able to have a block party on that street, close it down for a Sunday afternoon, and not have a problem. We could never do that now, because we have, since the roundabouts went in, it has become a de facto emergency route. We have a lot of them down through there all the time. Let's see. We have just as much a right as anybody else in the city to be able to park in front of our houses. So, I mean, if you're gonna do something like this, then there should be no parking on any street in town during the day. I mean, why should we be penalized because everybody else in town wants to use our street? That's not fair, and I have repeatedly through the years, whenever there's an issue, the answer is, well, we'll just take the parking off the street. No, that's not the answer. Not when we're down there paying our taxes. And we can't, my time's up, real quick. The comment to park on side streets, where do you suggest? We can't park on State. Putnam doesn't have much parking. We can't park on Washington. There's no place for us to go. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Charlotte Hardy. I live at 129 North 12th Street, and I'm really glad to have been here to be able to understand that you do listen to us. It's very encouraging. I felt like, but before I came here, I felt like there was no representation, that the people that we actually had hope to represent us were the ones that actually initiated this resolution. So what I did is I prepared a flyer and distributed it to several people in our neighborhood in hopes that they would contact you, and I think that some of them did respond. But my suggestion would be that anytime that you target a special part of the city, regardless of what part of the city it is, that you get the list of the homeowners on that street from the office that provides that, and just send them a little note and say, this is what's going to happen. Because if my friend across the street hadn't told me, I wouldn't be here tonight. We get the newspaper, but that doesn't mean that I read all of it. So, but I appreciate the fact that you listened and that you made this change, because my husband's 80 and I'm 78, and for our friends and neighbors, our friends to have to come over and park on another street and then try to come back to our home, we probably wouldn't have very many visitors. So that would be like your mother, father, or grandparents or something. They're not going to travel very far to see you if they have a difficult time doing it. But thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
My name is Karen Morton. I live at 118 North 12th Street. I've lived there 30 years, and the traffic has been busy, but not as bad as it has since the tree service came there. And that seems to be the main problem. And it seems to me that maybe the city or whoever could come up with a solution with them, because either way, whether 12th Street has parking or not, they're not going to be able to park there. So if they could come up with something, and then the residents on 12th Street could still have their parking, it doesn't seem like cutting the parking on the street is the best answer, because we don't have parking. We don't have parking on 12th Street. Like she said, you can't walk. Any visitors can't walk. My parents can't walk from 12th Street. The sidewalks aren't maintained in the wintertime. The sidewalks aren't maintained to walk safely, some of them. So to walk from Washington down to my house, you can't park on State Street, so the parking's limited. I have a car parking, and most of the residents only have one car. And it seems like the problem is the tree service. And if we just say no parking for everybody, it doesn't seem right. It seems like maybe we should contact them and say, hey, we have this problem and we need to solve it. And if they can't come up with a solution and the city comes up with this, they're not gonna be parking there anyways. So it just seems like there might maybe be a better solution. Okay?
Thank you. Anyone else?
This time is out at 4 minutes, 53 seconds, so it's going to be close. Good evening, Glen Wall, Little Valley. I believe in transparency when it comes to government, and that includes transparency from the elected representatives to citizens, as well as transparency from citizens to the elected representatives. For that reason, unfortunately, I need to take my 5 minutes tonight to explain something that happened that I find disappointing. At the last meeting on January 14th, after expressing my sadness that the mayor hasn't yet provided plans to solve the sewage discharge problem, I said, quote, "So I'll wait here after the meeting in hopes that you can provide that evidence." Unquote. Well, after the meeting, Bill did come to the rail and said simply, "We're moving forward." I asked him if he could explain more, and he said the same thing again, "We're moving forward." I asked him what that meant, and he said he wasn't going to say more because according to Bill, the last time he came to the rail, I took what he said and lied about it. I said I would never do that, and he repeated that I was a liar. Obviously, I was further disappointed by his words. First, I knew what he was referring to, and I had explained to him before why it wasn't anything close to a lie. It stemmed from the November 26 Common Council meeting, where I said, quote, "I will wait here until after the meeting finishes tonight to see if anyone from the city can provide an update on this issue." Bill had come up afterward and said, "I'll have something for you soon." Yes, I know, deja vu. On December 3rd, I received an email from Brad that said only, quote, "Per Mayor AELO's request, please see the attached dye testing inflow and infiltration study conducted in 2002. We have completed several work orders to verify what systems some of the identified basins in the study were connected to, and have found that 2/3 of them have been remedied. The city is continuing to identify connections that need to be corrected and intend to make those corrections as soon as possible. Unquote. Attached was the 2002 study and the city's sewer ordinance. In a December 5th email to Bill and Brad, I said in part, quote, "I really hope there is still an announcement forthcoming, since what you've sent me really isn't a plan." Later that day, Bill sent an email saying, and I will read it as it was written, quote, "My conversation with you was that I would have information to you about what we have done so far by the end of this week. I'm sorry that you took that as I was going to make an announcing about a plan to solve the discharge problem. I don't appreciate how you twisted my word about what I said to you," unquote. I replied, quote, "Bill, my question when I spoke at the meeting was, what is the plan now that the RFP didn't pan out?" And I explained how I hadn't received an answer to that despite a few emails over several weeks asking that question. I said I would wait until after the meeting in hopes that someone would explain what was happening and what the plan was now for fixing it. So when you walked up after the meeting and told me that you would have an announcement early this week, I assumed that announcement was about a new plan. And I think anyone else would have thought the same. So I'm sorry you think I was twisting your words. I wasn't, unquote. By the way, if any of you want full transcripts of these emails and comments, let me know. And I said something similar to that on the December 10th council meeting. So I thought that explained things well, why what I had said I was looking for wasn't anything like what he had provided. So I was surprised on January 14th at the last meeting when Bill said that he wouldn't say anything more because I would lie about what he said. But on my way home, I realized what had really happened. Because if Bill had been actually concerned about me lying about anything he said, he wouldn't have come back to the rail at all. But he did. And then he did something that has a name because other politicians do it too. It's called manufactured offense. When a reporter or a citizen asks a question that you have no good answer for, even though you should, just attack the person. It saves you from having to give a real answer. Unfortunately, we see that same technique often on the news done by other politicians. So, Mr. Mayor, let's please get things back on track, talking truth about this issue instead of getting personal. It's been 2 more weeks, and your office has released no other information about what moving forward means or what you've been doing. And by the way, I need to thank the council for the resolution that you put forth at the beginning of the meeting. I think that will help a lot. From now on, let's shoot for solid action to solve the problems of the city and also transparency in keeping the citizens informed. I hope you agree with that last sentence, Mr. Mayor, and I thank you if you do. Thank you.
Yawa iskeno, dega nonda, ohio, zonega no to noge. I appreciate what I heard this evening. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to be quick to praise. I want to see continued progress. There were some good words you guys spoke this evening, and I want to see some action. Went from this paper to your mouths. Now let's put it out there to this waterway, ensure the safety and well-being of that. And I thank you for taking our concerns into consideration. Because it was my intent to come here this evening to elaborate on just a portion of my last words that I spoke to you. That was in regards to roles and responsibilities. Each and every one of you took it upon yourself to run for the office that you are seated in. And in assuming that role, there's responsibilities that come in that. You have your constituents. That's what I hear constantly. I hear aldermen, you guys are reaching out. That's awesome. I commend you on that. And that needs to continue. Now, I hear issues in regards to this levy. That was at the bottom of your agenda there. And I'm going to follow on that too. It's right there on the banks of the water. So it seems if you want to rectify any issues of flooding, you think you should be tying these two resolutions together. one way or another. And I'm just gonna be keeping an eye on things, looking for progress. Looking forward to the presentation of this resolution. I look forward to be present. I want to see this happen with my own eyes. So again, I thank you guys. And that's about all you're going to get from me at this moment, though. So back to roles and responsibilities. You took it upon yourself, again, to seek your position. And in seeking that position, you gain the responsibility of being a voice of the community. And this community extends beyond the public that live here. The community consists of, we have animals, we have birds. You talked about a tree. I don't like to hear trees getting cut down, but I know there's an issue, and there's issues of safety and stuff like that, and that's beyond me. And my thing is just to let things be. It's a natural world that sets the tone for me. That's what I abide by. So we have those out there that are represented that you guys are responsible for. You're responsible for these trees. You're responsible for the grasses. You're responsible for these walkways, everything that's within the city. So I commend you on the progress that you made on other issues, but we're looking for more. We're looking for action. Right now I've heard words. That's all I heard is words. We're going to see it. You said you're going to be transparent. I'm going to look and find this on information on your website and see it updated quarterly or whatever you had proposed. I'm going to keep an eye on that. And I would imagine there's going to be many others too. So I just want to thank you for this time and just remind you that we as human beings have a role and responsibility for the caretaking of the waterways, the lands, and everything that they provide. Anyway.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay, at this time I'll call public comment. Finance and bills?
The auditor has processed bills and claims against the city of Olean as per list submitted to each alderman and recommends payment thereof. Whereas the auditor has presented to the common council bills and claims against the city of Olean totaling $913,524.24 for the budget and recommends payment thereof. Now therefore be it resolved that the same be and are hereby audited and allowed, and the auditor is hereby authorized and directed to draw warrants for the payment thereof at the amounts set opposite each respective claim.
All right, we've all received our copies of finance and bills. Does anyone have any questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a sponsor. Motion is made by Alderwoman Forney and seconded by Alderman Benyon. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon?
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney?
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall?
Yes.
Alderman Robinson?
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia?
Yes.
And President Crawford?
Yes.
Resolution or finance bills passes 6 ayes, no nays. Resolution 6-25 has been postponed. Resolution 7-25 PL number 7-25 out of committee by President Crawford, seconded by Alderwoman Forney. Resolution authorizing the creation of various capital funds.
All right, comments, questions? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon.
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney.
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall.
Yes.
Alderman Robinson.
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia.
Yes.
And President Crawford.
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, no nays. Resolution number 8-25, PL number 8-25, out of committee by Alderman Robinson and seconded by Alderwoman McCall, to request the New York State Department of Transportation to fix potholes and initiate a permanent fix to poor roadway conditions between exits 24 and 26 on I-86 in both at the eastern and western lanes.
Mr. President?
Yes, Alderman Anastasia.
Just because I work there and I know how the department runs, I was gonna ask if we could send copies of this to the senator and the assemblyman, because they're the ones that's gonna have teeth in the getting this done.
Mr. Mayor?
Good idea. Thank you.
All right.
Definitely got a list of who we have to send it to, right? Thank you.
Anybody else?
No.
You sure? Okay. All right, any other questions, regarding this proposal? All right, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Benyon,
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney,
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall,
Yes.
Alderman Robinson,
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia,
Yes.
and President Crawford.
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, no nays. Resolution number 10-25, PL number 10-25, to authorize an extension to Flux Property Concepts LLC to allow until December 31, 2025 to finish renovations and receive a certificate of occupancy for the property located at 301 West Oak Street, Olean.
Okay, we talked about this one in committees. Any comments or questions? Okay, Alderman Anastasia, you want to make a motion? Okay, can I get a second? Second by Alderman Benyon. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon,
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney,
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall,
Yes.
Alderman Robinson,
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia,
Yes.
and President Crawford.
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, no nays. Resolution number 11-25 has been postponed. Resolution number 12-25 has been postponed indefinitely. Resolution number 13-25 has been postponed indefinitely.
No, that one,
That's just.
that one was just been postponed for 2 weeks. Is that enough time to get some information, or do you want a month?
We can report back in 2 weeks. I don't want to.
Yeah, that's
oppose
We can, yeah, we can leave this on for 2 weeks.
That's the end of the agenda.
Any other comments, questions, concerns? Okay, seeing none, I'll make a motion. You know what, so, is it fair to make a motion in, or not? Okay, all right, fair enough. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Could I get a second? Second by Alderwoman McCall. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?